Jason Hill had hit rock bottom. For 300 nights, he slept on the cold concrete of Detroit's forgotten streets. His only possessions, a torn backpack, a pair of worn-out shoes with holes in the soles, and an old, crumpled photograph of his mother, the only family he had ever known. Day after day, Jason sat on the same corner, his head bowed, his hands stretched out for coins. Not for drugs. Not for alcohol. Just enough to buy a piece of bread, just enough to survive one more day. But destiny, it has a strange way of testing us before it blesses us. Because 7 years later, that same man, the one everyone passed by without a glance, was sitting in a glass tower, signing $1 million real estate deal. Wearing a suit tailored to fit success, overlooking the very city that once forgot he existed. So how does someone go from invisible to unstoppable? This is the story of Jason Hill. The homeless man, who became a millionaire against all odds. Jason wasn't always lost. As a boy growing up in Detroit, he dreamed big. He would spend hours sketching skyscrapers with crayons on old pizza boxes, imagining a day when his designs would touch the clouds. But dreams are fragile things. And life, for Jason, was merciless. At 19, his world crumbled. His mother, the woman who had raised him single-handedly, lost her fight against cancer. The bills piled up until the collectors came knocking. They took their small apartment, leaving Jason with nothing but grief and broken dreams. He dropped out of college, took whatever jobs he could find. 2 jobs, sometimes 3. But when the local auto plant closed, Jason's last source of income vanished. And just like that, he was on the streets. The first few nights, he thought it was temporary. But days turned to weeks. Weeks into months. And then, 2 long years. 2 years of sleeping under bridges, in freezing subway stations. When winter hit Detroit hard, Jason caught pneumonia. He battled it with nothing but an old army jacket he found in a trash bin. He coughed through nights so cold, he wondered if he'd live to see the morning. But worse than the hunger, worse than the cold, was the way people looked through him. People stopped seeing me, Jason would later say. I wasn't a person anymore. I was just a shadow. But sometimes, destiny doesn't knock. It whispers. It was a bitter January morning when Jason's fate shifted. He was huddled outside a public library, trying to escape the wind that cut through his thin clothes. His cup rattled with only a few coins. An older man in a suit dropped $1 into Jason's cup. But instead of walking on, he paused. He looked Jason in the eye, something no one had done in months, and said, "Why don't you come inside? It's warm, and they've got books in there that could change your life." And just like that, he was gone. Jason stared after him, that dollar trembling in his frozen fingers. Something stirred inside him. Dragging his tired body off the ground, Jason walked through the library doors. Warmth hit him like a wave. But what caught his eye wasn't the heat, it was a shelf labeled, Self-Help and Business. Without knowing why, he grabbed a book about a man who had risen from poverty to build an empire. Jason read until the library lights dimmed and the staff asked him to leave. That night, lying back on the hard concrete, Jason whispered to himself. If they can do it, so can I. I won't die out here. Not like this. The next morning, something was different. Jason started collecting cans and bottles with a new fire burning inside him. But this time, it wasn't just for food. It was for his comeback. Within weeks, he scraped together enough to print cheap flyers that read, "Odd jobs. No task too small. Call Jason." He taped them on every telephone pole he could find, handed them out with trembling hands. And then, the phone rang. A woman needed her lawn mowed. A man wanted his fence painted. Jason took every job. No task was beneath him. He worked from sunrise to sundown, every dollar saved felt like a brick in the foundation of his future. In 6 months, he earned enough to rent a tiny 8-by-10 room in a boarding house, his first roof in over 2 years. The first night he slept on a real mattress again, he cried. But Jason wasn't done. Night after night, he returned to that library. He read plumbing manuals, electrical guides, carpentry books. On borrowed time, he watched free videos on how to fix just about anything. By year 3, Jason was no longer the man with a flyer, he had become the go-to handyman in the neighborhood. He'll Fix It Services was born. He bought a second-hand pickup truck, and soon, he was hiring other men who had once been homeless, just like him. But destiny wasn't finished with him yet. One afternoon, while repairing a rental property, Jason met Marcus Reed, a real estate investor. Marcus noticed Jason's skill, his hustle, his heart. And he made a proposition that would change everything. "You know houses. I've got money. Let's flip a property together." Their first project? A rundown house they transformed and sold for a $200,000 profit. Jason reinvested every dime. He flipped house after house, learning the business from the ground up. By year 7, Jason Hill wasn't just fixing homes, he was owning them. He had flipped over 10 properties, crossed the $1 million mark, and built a small empire. He employed 15 workers, many of whom had once been where he was, on the streets, forgotten. Today, Jason drives past that same library in a sleek black SUV. But he never forgets the man who told him to step inside. His company now grosses over $3 million a year. But Jason's real pride is the Hill Foundation, a charity he founded to train homeless people in construction and handyman skills. Giving them jobs. Giving them shelter. Giving them the chance to build their own destiny. Destiny doesn't knock, Jason often says now. You build the door, and then you kick it wide open. So if Jason Hill could rise from the cold sidewalks to $1 million contracts, what's stopping you? Maybe destiny is waiting for you too. Just beyond the door. Just one step away. Subscribe to our channel for more such destiny stories, and also don't forget to like, comments, and share this to your beloveds.